Avalanche holders, get ready because AVAX might have the best looking chart in crypto. Between the fundamentals and the technicals, there's never been a better time to hold AVAX. Now, as you can see here, here's a whole list of developments on the Avalanche blockchain, but I just want to look at the three most bullish catalysts to me. So number one is going to be BlackRock's BUIDL fund launched on Avalanche. But what is BlackRock's BUIDL fund? All right, so double clicking on that, BlackRock's BUIDL fund is the first tokenized money market fund. It enables these traditional financial products to be traded as cryptographic tokens on the blockchain. This is just a fancy way of saying big banks can now trade US treasuries and other debt instruments on the blockchain 24/7, and they're using different chains here. Now, they have the breakdown of the 7 blockchains: Ethereum, Solana, Aptos, Arbitrum, and Avalanche. But I did a little bit more research, finding the actual dollar amounts of each of those. And if we fast forward to the present day, this is the most recent data for 21. Ethereum and Aptos is number 1 and number 2, but very closely after Aptos is Avalanche with $52 million in the BUIDL fund. And so clearly BlackRock doesn't mind betting big to the tune of tens of millions of dollars on Avalanche. So the first fundamental would be BlackRock. Second fundamental would be Avalanche and Mastercard. So AvaLabs is Avalanche. AvaLabs and Mastercard co-authored a white paper on asset tokenization. Now, I went and did some research. What was this announcement like when they first started talking about it? Back in 22, this is 2022, back in February, so this is a little over 3 years ago, one of AvaLabs, which is the team behind Avalanche. So one of Avalanche's primary goals is to apply crypto innovations to traditional businesses. By blending these two worlds, Avalanche thinks it can make everyday transactions, such as paying for coffee or even buying a house, cheaper and easier. Now, fast forward to the white paper that they just co-authored with Mastercard here. So in January, Mastercard issued a white paper co-authored by AvaLabs, the company behind Avalanche, and this report emphasized the importance of blockchain asset tokenization technology in finance. Basically saying crypto will emerge as a likely path for cost efficiency, improved data management, and interoperability. Simply put, crypto can make Mastercard's business cheaper and more profitable. So we got BlackRock number 1, Mastercard number 2, number 3 is going to be stablecoins working with the US government. In March, now it's actually 2025, this is inaccurate here, you can see this is October 24 to April 25. So last month, Avalanche teamed up with the Wyoming Stable Token Commission. In case you weren't aware, Wyoming is actually developing a stake-backed stablecoin called WIST, which is being tested on multiple blockchains, including Avalanche, Solana, and Ethereum. This stablecoin will be fully backed by cash and U.S. Treasury securities and will be over-collateralized. So now we have actual state governments working with Avalanche to potentially issue a stablecoin. So when it comes to fundamentals, clearly Avalanche is in a very good position. They're working with the largest entities in the world. They're working with states when it comes to stablecoin. They're working with California when it comes to the DMV. They're working with BlackRock, for Christ's sake. So clearly big money is very comfortable betting big on Avalanche. And so when we go to the Avalanche chart, well, you might be wondering, why is this coin beaten down? Well, the charts are telling a story of a reversal. I think we have a lot of bullishness. In fact, some are saying this is the best chart in crypto. So I want to go over some of these charts. Now, first we got M2 Global Money. This guy just posts a lot of different charts with the M2 money supply overlaid on it. So M2 money is just all the dollars floating around in the world. And so when this money is printed by foreign governments, it takes a while for your assets to inflate. If China prints a lot of money, your Bitcoin isn't going to go up today. A lot of people, smart people, the quants, they've done the math. There's typically about a 3-month lag. And so if countries print a lot of money, typically 3 months later, that's when you'll see real estate rise, gold rise, and cryptocurrency rise. And so when you put that lag on Avalanche, just looking at that chart, M2 money supply potentially spelling a huge pump in the near term. I want to give a quick shout out to LBank Exchange. It is my favorite exchange to get all of the latest trading pairs, all of the hottest meme coins and altcoins. You can go to the spot trading or you could do futures perpetual trading. And we have a link down below with the tutorial on the top of our page. Tons and tons of features here, 24/7 customer support, huge reach here, huge volume, millions of users, and they have over 200 countries and regions covered. So go ahead, open up an account, deposit some funds, and start your trading journey. Next technical I would look at is Bitcoin dominance in relation to Avalanche. So this is the Avalanche 1 week chart, and Q4 of 23 to Q1 2024. Avalanche did a 7x despite Bitcoin dominance rising. So imagine what happens when the price of Avalanche, when Bitcoin dominance finally crashes. So when Bitcoin dominance falls, your strong altcoins will thrive. Now, Avalanche has two distinct pumps with a third one coming. So you see the first pump right here leading into this little point of control. This is when Bitcoin dominance started to fall in July of 2021. It only lasted for a short while, but that was more than enough time for Avalanche to have a huge pump. Basically, we went from around $10 to $150. The last time we had a pump here was in this area in the tail end of 2023, and Bitcoin dominance wasn't so much as falling, but it stopped rising and kind of went neutral for a while. The start of 2023, Bitcoin dominance was just blasting off, and then it paused right at this moment, created a couple lower highs. The markets loved that, altcoins loved it, and Avalanche also went on a huge run. And now we're at a point where Bitcoin dominance largely expected to fall, Avalanche largely expected to rise. And when you look at Bitcoin dominance, it definitely looks like a reversal is in the cards. I've heard some analysts say, maybe it wicks up to 66%. Some maniacs are saying maybe we can even hit 70%. But basically, everybody's agreeing Bitcoin dominance soon about to start dropping to the wayside, and altcoins are going to be doing fantastically. And that's what we call alt season. But now let's get to my two charts here. In fact, I'm going to show you a potential trade for Avalanche that I might jump in, but I just need the price to drop a little bit here, and I'll explain that in a second. And so we're looking at the 3-day chart, and a signal has flashed that has only flashed 2 times in the past. Now, this is the same signal I mentioned in last night's video, which was on SWE, and that is a bullish divergence on the 3-day chart. When I saw it on SWE, I opened up a trade, and we end up closing that trade for a 140% pump, and I'll tell you where I'm going to open my Avalanche trade. Now, let's get back to the 3-day bullish divergence. Now, this has only happened twice in Avalanche's history. It didn't happen here, but it did happen right here and right here. So let's zoom in a little bit on the charts. And so bullish divergence is going to be when the RSI creates a higher low while the price makes a lower low. And it's just showing you the strength of the market is kind of exceeding the price of a token, essentially, or an asset. And so when we look at this pump right here, this was a significant pump for Avalanche. Avalanche ended up pumping 15x almost. This is over a 10x. And if we zoom in a little bit, you can see, especially on the candle bodies, candles, a little bit lower on the bodies, maybe a little slight lower wick there, while the price was making a slightly higher high. This is a rare signal you don't see too often. Now, the other one I saw was right here. So if we stretch this one out, you can see RSI having some strength, even though it is slight, but the price was dropping despite it, also being slight. Well, this is a classic bullish divergence. And if we measure this pump, remember that one was close to a 15x. Now we're looking at a 20x for Avalanche. Let's fast forward to today. What does the bullish divergence look like? Well, it's looking pretty strong and it's looking pretty thick here. So you can see price definitely making a lower low, wicking lower, candle bodies lower, RSI looking strong, and it coincided with testing the bottom of this range. And so to me, this is looking pretty clear. Avalanche wants to test the top part of this resistance. So let's go ahead and measure that. What kind of pump are you looking at for Avalanche? Where's DZ going to open his trade at? So let's click to the daily, just get a little bit more accurate here. Pumping from here, and let's just say it happens within the next 30, 31 days, you're looking at 125, 126% pump, and that's going to be putting Avalanche right around $47. But I want to caution you, there's a level at $44 that I think is also going to be important. Threw up a line on 44, and we're just going to kind of check back and see why this potentially might act as resistance. You see it acted as resistance in January 2025, also acted as resistance in February 2024. This was part of the January 24 pump. Took us a few days to get past it right here, but then wicked down below. And if you go to the previous altcoin season, you can see it was exactly where we kind of created the dead cat bounce, and then Avalanche had a drop down during the summer, June, July 2021, and then came up to this area. You can see also kind of acted as resistance. So $44 potential area where Avalanche needs to slow down, and also the top of this range, also another area to look at. And there might be a world in which this coincides and it hits right around this area, which would be August 2025. But I think it's going to pump a little bit faster than that. I think it's going to look a little bit more like this or a little bit more like this. I think it's going to be pretty vertical here. But when I look at this 1 hour chart that goes back to about the 15th, 16th of April, I think there's a shot Avalanche needs to come back down and test this range. And so if it does drop down, this is where I'm going to be opening along. This is going to be right around $20, but just in case it doesn't hit it, maybe I open it, around 20, 25, maybe even 20, 30. So this is the area where I'm going to be jumping in. I'm going to be opening a trade here. And so if it wicks down to this area, we'll check in on the trade together in the live stream. I'm DZ, and hopefully this helps you look at your Avalanche bag a little bit more critically, but also a little bit more optimistically. So I'll see you in your AVAX bags. Top.